All right, breaking news coming out from the Supreme Court, where it seems there is a major victory for the Sachin Pilot camp. The Supreme Court has said it will take up the case once again on Monday. Now, the Supreme Court has in fact declined to stay the Rajasthan High Court's order on the disqualification notices sent to rebel MLAs by the Speaker. And this is being seen as a big victory indeed for the Sachin Pilot camp, which has raised questions over the Speaker's disqualification notice. The Sachin Pilot camp has in fact argued not enough time was given to rebel MLAs to respond at the time of a pandemic. The Speaker had argued, and indeed the Ashok Gehlot government had argued that it was the Speaker's prerogative to issue these notices, that the court had no role to play in such a situation, and that any kind of court intervention could only come after a final decision was taken by the Speaker. In fact, Kapil Sibal arguing in the Supreme Court as well today that in fact it was wrong in law for the Rajasthan High Court to step in at this point. So the Supreme Court at this point declining to stay the Rajasthan High Court's order. Kapil Sibal had in fact argued that the High Court cannot give any protective order at this stage to the other camp. No court can intervene, he had said, when the Speaker is deciding the case. Now, remember, the High Court's order comes tomorrow, so this is being seen as a big victory for the moment, at least for the Sachin Pilot camp. The Speaker, who had earlier said he would honour the Rajasthan High Court's request to delay action until its Friday verdict, told the Supreme Court today that he was empowered by the Constitution to take action under anti-defection laws. Rebels cannot legally challenge his notices until the action is actually taken, is what Mr. C.P. Joshi's lawyers have argued. Speaking to NDTV earlier, the Speaker had said he wanted to avoid a clash between constitutional institutions, in this case the courts and the legislature, but his decision to go to the Supreme Court clearly was a reflection of the worry that a legal victory for the rebels could endanger its government in Rajasthan. Srinivasan Jain is with us to take us through the implications of what we've just seen happen in the Supreme Court. Vasu, the Supreme Court declining, in a sense, to stay the Rajasthan High Court's order. That's still expected to go ahead tomorrow. So would you say that this is a big shot in the arm for the Sachin Pilot camp?
Absolutely. I think that this is exactly what the Sachin Pilot camp has been arguing for. In fact, Sachin Pilot camp's lawyers in court, Harish Salve and Mukul Rohtkey, made exactly the point that High Court proceedings cannot be stopped and that the High Court must be allowed to pass the order. At any rate, right from the start, it was an unusual move by the Speaker to move the Supreme Court when the High Court is still hearing a case. It still hadn't passed final orders. So it was somewhat of a risk, perhaps in their view, a calculated risk. But the Supreme Court allowing the High Court to pass its order is definitely something that will be a shot in the arm for Sachin Pilot and his rebels, and is something that will be a cause of concern for the Ashok Gehlot government. Because remember, the Supreme Court says that they will continue to hear the case on Monday. So we'll still have to wait and see what that means, right. Whether that, in a sense, then puts whatever order is passed by the High Court into a kind of limbo till such time as the Supreme Court rules. That's the clarification that we will need, and hopefully our colleague Vaidyanathan will be able to give us a sense of that once the court clarifies that. But it's also, of course, important to point out what the Supreme Court and the judges were saying in the run-up to passing the order. And I think it's those observations by the judges, particularly by Justice Arun Mishra, which is certainly something that has been taken note of. Where essentially Justice Arun Mishra appearing to say that voices of dissent cannot be shut down, indicating essentially that any attempt to disqualify these MLAs would be tantamount to shutting down voices of dissent. Now, this kind of language being used by the Supreme Court in the course of the hearing is also something which would be welcomed by the Sachin Pilot camp and would be viewed with concern by the Ashok Gehlot camp. But at the moment, it appears that the High Court now has the green light to go ahead and pass its verdict tomorrow, exactly what happens after that? What is the legal process, given that the Supreme Court is still hearing the case? Remember, they've not kicked out the case.
Since we have Vaidyanathan with us, Vasu, let's put that question directly to him. Vaidyanathan, what are we looking at right now? If indeed the Rajasthan High Court gives its order tomorrow, and if the Supreme Court is still going to be hearing this on Monday or whenever, what does that mean legally?
See, the first thing is High Court can go ahead and deliver its verdict tomorrow. So secondly, the Supreme Court is saying that the High Court decision is subject to the verdict of the Supreme Court. It's natural. See, any decision by the High Court immediately will be challenged in Supreme Court. It's just a formality. Right. So as far as the other issue is concerned, yes, Supreme Court will go ahead and hear the main legal issue. The main legal issue here is, can the High Court interfere at the premature stage of issuing notice to the MLAs before a final decision is taken? That's the main issue. That issue, legal issue, this three-judge bench will continue hearing on Monday. As Justice Mishra clearly said that it's a long legal issue. Court will have to examine, compare it with the earlier judgments of the top court and decide. So court is saying we are not a speaker as authority, but the issue here is, can the court at the premature level, when the speaker issues notice, can interfere and stop it? That's the issue the Supreme Court is going to do. So it is subject to the final decision of the Supreme Court. That's just a formality. Any decision by any High Court naturally will be challenged in Supreme Court. That's why Salve immediately agreed, saying that we are agreeable to the subject to the final decision. In fact, Salve and Mukul Rohttgi both appeared for the Sachin camp. Mr. Sibal appeared for the Speaker.
All right. Interesting, some of the observations made by the Supreme Court as well, Vaidyanathan. The voice of dissent in a democracy cannot be shut down. The Supreme Court noting today, as it heard the Rajasthan Speaker's petition, it's a matter of just one day. Why can't you wait? All of those were indications, perhaps, that this was how things were going to go down.
In fact, Vasu was pointing out whether it's a right legal advice to come to the Supreme Court. I would also view saying that it may not be advice for the Speaker or the Congress to come to Supreme Court when the High Court is about to deliver the verdict tomorrow. See, now they have lost. So it elongates, then it's a victory for Sachin. This probably, Speaker might have taken the legal advice and decided on its own. It's up to them. But legally, it's concerned, it may not be the right advice when the High Court is pending. They come to Supreme Court and go back to the High Court, again come to Supreme Court. It's a long battle between the Speaker and the Supreme Court.